In this video, I'm going to show you two different ways to create a character's robe blowing in the breeze in Cartoon Animator. Now to do that, I've got this project in Cartoon Animator set up with my Star Wars parody character of Rey that you can purchase from my store in the marketplace. And this particular character comes with these robes that you can optionally have attached or not. This character was made before we had spring bones, so the first way I'm going to show you how you can make these robes blow in the breeze is the way that it was done before spring bones came in. So what we have is this robe here, and there's another one behind here, and they're optional for the character, so you can have it just like this or with the robes. So just undo that, and these two robes are linked to the character's thigh bone. I've got an animation of her standing idle at the moment, and you'll see what happens when I press play. You'll see those robes just move with her thighs as she moves them around. So these robes are actually set up as spine actors, so they're actors in their own right. And if you're not familiar with a spine actor, you'll find them in your free resources over here. If you go into the actor folder and then open up actors up the top here, you'll see we've got this actor here, which is a spine. And it's basically this style of actor where it's literally, as it says, a spine with about 6 segments. And you can apply a spine to anything. If I go into the composer, you'll see this one, that's the spine there, and it just runs down the middle of the robe. Now the good thing about these spine actors is that they come with, or Cartoon Animator, and is that Reallusion provides you with pre-made motions for them. So if we get out of here into the free resources and go into the animation pack here, and we go to, I believe we have to go to 2D motions, and we're going to have to scroll down inside here. Obviously it's not a human. We've got this spine folder here, and you'll see we've got all these pre-made motions. There's 49 of them, and I've got show subfolder items, so we're showing the ones in this special folder as well. But in here there's actual spine animated for blowing in the breeze or blowing in the wind. So if I search here and I think I can just type wind in, you see what wind soft, wind strong, and there's even start loops and end motions. So that 1S on the name on this means that's the start of the loop or start of the motion. This 2L means this is the looped section, so you can loop this any number of times. And we've got this 3E, which is the end of the motion if you wanted to have your prop come to a halt. But what I'm going to do is just apply the loop motion, because this whole animation that I've set up here of the character is just a continuous loop, so that's all we need to add in. I'm going to select the robe here, and I'm going to do the wind strong loop. That's this one here. Double click that to apply it, and you'll see that applied the motion and it dropped it down. It looks a bit weird, no longer lined up, not what we want. So I'll open up the timeline on this motion and we'll go into clip. You'll see it's a very short clip. What we want to do is get the start of it in position. We're going to open up the 2D motion key editor, because remember I said a spine is an actor, it's not a prop. We want the motion key editor, and we're just going to rotate bone 1, bring it back into position. I think that looks pretty good about there. We might even lift it up a bit, and that should keep it in position the whole time there. And then we can do the same with the robe behind. Get out of the motion key editor here. We'll apply the same motion to this robe behind. Wind strong loop. Then open up 2D motion key editor on this, back to the first frame, and then position it. And now if I want, I can loop that motion through my whole animation. So got the motion path here. Just going to loop this through the whole thing, making sure that we're on the looping setting up here, dragging the end. And you'll see it doesn't quite fit in my complete loop, so we can just get the stretch or time tool here and just try and drag the end that extra distance, and you'll see that this loop now lines up exactly with the end of that. It doesn't matter that this goes over. I could, if I wanted to, take that off and we're good to go. And then I'll just do the same with the other one. Grab this, loop it one more time, stretch it out, loop that last one, and off the timeline, and we'll just have a look at what that looks like. See, that's pretty much all you need to do with that particular method. It does have a few problems, obviously. See here, it's not particularly staying lined up with the robe on the character, and the other problem that you'll face with this particular method is because this is an actor, you can't make it an accessory on another actor, so this is pretty much just sitting in front and the other one is sitting behind this actor. So in order to make this hand, you'll see, go in front of this, I've had to put a fake hand on the character. You'll see as I go through, I've got this fake hand that I've put in, and I purposely didn't try to match the hand that was there. This is the hand this character uses for when she's holding her lightsaber. But you'll see as this goes through that section, I've left that bit of hand in. It happens so quick that you wouldn't notice that this hand doesn't particularly match exactly. That's what allows me to get that hand going in front of the spine prop. And obviously again, when she puts her hand down, you have to bring that hand back in. Now another problem with this is that we're pretty much set with what the animation on that spine is. We could spend some time modifying it, making it stronger and fixing it up, or doing whatever it is we want to do. But since the introduction of spring bones, there's actually a better way of creating this robe sort of blowing in the breeze. So that's what we're going to look at next. Go back to the two characters. So this character over here, this robe has got spring bones attached to it. And just like this one, these robes are attached to the hip bone, but this time this is an accessory. It's not a spine act. And what I did to create it is I brought the robe in as a prop. See the prop here, now an accessory, but I brought it in as a prop and then attached it to the character and then saved it as an accessory. So I go into the composer. Firstly, I'll go into the composer with the robe so you can see how I've rigged it. This is what we've got. It's a series of bones running down here, and I've put these bones on the corner just so that these corners can flap around independently. And then I've got some pins here so that when the bone moves, hopefully this line here will stay more in line with the image on the character. If we look at the spring bones, see here, spring bones start from bone 3 and not bone 1, because what we're going to be doing is animating bone 1 and 2, cause this to flap around, because you cannot actually animate spring bones while they're live as spring bones. And I believe this has got 100% gravity on, which is not really what we want, but we're going to adjust that over on the stage just because we can. If we preview this here, you'll see that can flop around and sort of flaps around nicely. You can see the corners down there are coming together, they're not sort of sticking apart. We move this bone, you can see the pins there are holding the top part of the robe in place. So we'll get out of here and I'll just show you how this is added to the character in the composer. You can see here it's exactly the same as what it is on the stage. There's the prop here and it's just linked to the character's leg, and because it's now an accessory we can do the correct layer order. So as you can see there, the character's hand is nicely in front of it, the layers here, there it is in the layer order, and the arm and the hand can be placed in front, and this other one is nicely at the back in the layer order. And in fact this particular arm here should actually be there, and that hand should be there. There we go. Now we'll look at this character and how we animate that one. And this has got the same animation as the other one, so if I play this animation, you see she's just standing there and the cloth is sort of staying much better aligned with the character's robe on the body, and it's just generally looking better, and we don't even actually need to do anything for this robe to do its physics. Although, open up the spring editor, press play. We can sort of adjust the gravity on that as it's playing, so that maybe it's not hanging so low. That's completely opposite gravity. We didn't want it to be quite as strong as what it is. We don't really. We want it to be more around about there, perhaps on -80. We'd do the same other one, not the spring editor, play to preview, and adjust this to 80 as well. Right, so to animate these blowing in the breeze, just get into the timeline. We'll start with the front one because we can see what we're doing with that. And this time we do open up the prop key editor because these are now accessories and not actors like the other character. And all we do is move the playhead, like we start from this position, or maybe if we wanted to start immediately with this already raised in the air, we want to select bone 2, remember, not bone 1 or bone 3, which is where the spring bones actually start, and we can't keyframe those. And we can just bring this up by rotating it, or we could even move the whole bone up and start from there. Make sure the motion blip down here is open. We just want to move the bone up, perhaps bring it up here, turn it so that it flicks everything up. Even turn it a little bit more, maybe turn it down a bit, bring the bone down. And I'm just sort of winging this. I don't know how it's going to look, so we'll see. Bring it up a bit. And then maybe on the last one we copy it back to whatever the first frame was so that we get a nice perfect loop. You can sort of get a sense of how that's going. And now what I'm going to do is, because we want that to be able to loop that motion, we can't do that with keyframes like this, so we're going to collect up all of that, clicking and dragging on the clip track, and I'm just going to add it to the robe's action menu. All props and characters can have an action menu. I'm going to go add to action menu, and I'm going to call it robe blowing in wind. Okay, then I'm going to go back to the start. We're going to remove object animation, and you'll see now the robe isn't moving at all when we press play again. You'll see if I right click on it and go into the action menu, got this robe blowing in the wind action, and I'm on frame 0, so I'm going to apply it. And now I'm just going to loop this motion to the end, so making sure we're on loop up here. And you can see we're pretty close, so I might try stretching this out first. Get this to the end there, and I think that's close enough there. So let's go back to the start and just see what that looks like being played. You see it's not particularly looking all that fantastic. There's a few things we could try. We could try squishing them together so that it blows and moves a little bit quicker, and adding more loops in. What that looks like. And it's okay. Next thing we can try is turning on the spring editor when we preview and hitting the play button, seeing if adjusting the gravity will help smooth it out. I don't know, I'm thinking maybe around 40. We could try adjusting the speed on here. the bounciness. Probably too much. There's all sorts of things you can pretty much try just to see how it looks. I think that's not too bad. I'm not going to labour over this. It's just, obviously you can tinker around with this all you want and get it looking really good. But the main points here is that we can make this robe blow in the breeze, and you can see with these pins on the accessory we can roughly keep it lined up with the character as she's moving. I'm going to stop this now. Right, so now that I've got this one animated, I should be able to just save that motion out and then apply it to the new one. And because this is already a looped motion, we should be able to just save it from the timeline directly. We go into Content, go to my Custom Folders, Animation, and then we want to go to Prop Motion, and making sure that we've got the motion path for this particular prop selected. In the prop motion custom folder, we should be able to go save, call this robe in wind, go OK. Now making sure we're at the start of the animation, we should be able to just select this robe and apply robe in wind to it. And we'll stop. You can see that's going a little bit low, so we maybe want to lift it up a bit higher at the start. So if we go back to the start of the animation, open up 2D motion key editor, and perhaps lift the first bone up a little bit higher, and press play. And we might even want to mess around with the spring bone editor. Make sure we've got the prop selected. Spring bone editor, press play, and just mess around with the gravity. So that that particular robe matches the other one in terms of how much it's being blown around. And I think that will do it. So let's stop this. Back down the timeline, and we'll just preview this one quickly. See there, she's kind of standing with her robe blowing in quite a fairly strong breeze there. And if we move to 2-shot and compare that with this one here, can sort of see with the spring bone version we've got a lot more settings we can mess around with and easily adjust to get that looking just right. And I'm aware that my particular efforts here aren't particularly spectacular. I'm sure you could do a much better job. This particular demonstration is more about showing you the theory and the options that you have, and hopefully you'll be able to take those concepts and apply them to your own animation and do a lot better job than what I've shown here. So there you go, there's two options for creating a robe on your character blowing in the wind. So I hope you found that demonstration useful. Obviously it's not a perfect wind effect because Cartoon Animator hasn't yet quite got physics implemented, but it's just kind of a workaround using spring bones. And if you prefer the spine bone character, if that's something you want to try as well, either method requires a bit of tweaking and messing around with to get it to look exactly how you want it to. But that's it for this one. If you're having any challenges with Cartoon Animator, feel free to let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll be able to find you a solution, or maybe you'll inspire another tutorial video that will help other Cartoon Animator users. That's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.